Welcome back to the WorkPlay Podcast. I'm so excited, you guys. Today it's again going to be me and you, a solo episode. Let me know in our DMs at WorkPlay Branding if you're liking these solo episodes. I feel like it's something in 2025 that we might do more often. So I want to hear you guys' feedback. Today I want to talk to you guys about something that I have just realized about WorkPlay Branding and business and marketing teams. I have been doing this for a very long time. I have worked with small brands. I have worked with companies that are valued at multiple billions of dollars. I have worked with CEOs. I have worked with marketing teams. I have worked with a lot when it comes to visuals and the different verticals and industries that this job takes me into. And something that I've noticed about smaller brands, especially brands who are kind of on the cusp between being like a small brand and maybe you're just hiring the marketing team, or maybe you do have a marketing team in place and it's full-fledged. And what I notice is that there is a huge gap of understanding of what the marketing team needs versus what the CEO or visionary at the top thinks that they need. And sometimes there's almost weird, the visionary is doing things that the marketing team should do and vice versa. And I kind of came up with this idea of where WorkPlay fits in the middle of that. Because sometimes the marketing team is begging their CEO to hire the WorkPlay team to create assets for them because they're like, we have nothing. And then sometimes it's the CEO trying to convince the marketing team that they need WorkPlay branding. And there's this weird power dynamic. And so I want to just set the record straight of how WorkPlay branding actually integrates with the marketing team. And if you are the marketing team, how WorkPlay branding integrates with your creative process when creating your marketing schedule, your marketing year, your marketing campaigns in general. And when you're coming up with different marketing ideas, where does WorkPlay branding fit in that dynamic? So let's talk about it. WorkPlay branding is essentially your marketing team's creative team. And I want to make that really clear because sometimes people come into the WorkPlay method and they're like, you're my everything. No, we are not your everything. We are your creative team. We are the creative muscle that is the undertone of everything that you do in your marketing. So it doesn't really matter if you are your marketing team or you have a team in place. It's important to make those position boundaries so that you know how to work with a creative team and we know how to work with you. So let's start this off on the note of understanding what your marketing team actually needs. So again, this is through the lens of if you are doing the marketing yourself or if you have a team. What does that department need? Marketing needs a lot of creativity and it needs a lot of assets. And when I say assets, I mean photo, videos. Think about the mediums that marketing has to be on these days. If we run it back all the way 10 years ago, social media was still kind of getting its footing, but you could get away with not being online. I think you could get away with not being online up until 2020, and then everyone freaked out. Every single business owner freaked out because they were like, oh my God, I have to have an online component part of my business or else this whole thing could just be destroyed. And so I think that there was a shift when COVID happened, and that's a tale as old as time now. It's when COVID happened, this happened. It's yes, that was a big cultural reset, even for the business world. I would say more so for the business world than honestly any other world out there. I don't think anyone listening is going to disagree with me now that we've got to be online. And if you're on a marketing team or you are the marketing team and you're listening and you're like, I don't understand how to be online, we got to get you up with the program, because if your business is not online, we've got issues at this point. So I am going to assume that you understand that being online is very important. So once you understand that, which I know that we all do, now what do we need in order to show up online? Think about these platforms that we have available to us. And I'm not just talking social media, I'm talking everything. I'm talking website, I'm talking landing page, sales funnel, I'm talking virtual events. Like I want you to think more than social media, because I think everyone's like, oh, business online, social media, gotta be on Instagram. I get it. No, everything is online. Even when you create an in-person event, everything is through an online registration. How you even learn about the event is through some online platform. Okay, so everything online is visual. Just like everything in person, like when you walk into a restaurant, like that whole experience of walking into a restaurant is visual. Like we as humans are visual creatures, which means if we are using the online world as our marketing platform, which I know 99% of us listening are, we need a lot of assets and we need them to look good. And apart from looking good, we need them to be created in a way that tells a certain narrative that we want to be told about our business. And people will talk about, oh, fonts, colors. No. Fonts and colors, they're great, and graphics are great, but what creates this storytelling connection? What gets people interested? It is not a graphic, it is not a font, it is not a logo. It is your visuals. It is how you are showing up and how you are presenting yourself to someone online through the screen, through the phone screen, through the TV screen, through the laptop screen. And you do it all through visuals because these are all visual platforms. So your marketing team, they're coming up with the strategy, but if you're not providing them visual assets, how much of that strategy is actually going to be positioned and perceived as something really good without really strategic visuals attached to them? And look, this is not a new concept. If you go out, let's just say, like, I live in Miami, you go driving down 95 past all of the buildings, what do you see? You see billboards, you see like electronic ads, and on those billboards and ads, what is the first thing you see? A visual. Okay, they thought about this. It's like they've got the visual, they've got a one-liner, and it's capturing your attention, but your eye goes to the visual first. So the reason why I'm overemphasizing this is because once you see it, it becomes so obvious, so obvious that the visuals run the marketing world. If your marketing team is not begging you for visuals at this point, we might be having issues there. They might not be on the same 2025 wavelength as they should be. I'm going to assume that they are on that wavelength though. And if they haven't, have them listen to this episode. So now that everyone's on the same wavelength, right? We all need visuals for our marketing. That's just the landscape that we're living in. How many assets does the team actually need? Because this was the next part of kind of the downfall of marketing online in general, and where people kind of got a little stuck because they were like, oh, I need to go and hire a photographer so I can create visuals, right? Because this is the only place that people are finding me. And so here's what would happen. People would go hire their local photographer who does branding plus family photos plus senior portraits. Like there's no focus, right? They would hire them to create the visuals. They would then use those visuals for years. Years. probably, and honestly, I don't blame anyone who's done that because it is so expensive to do a brand shoot. It is so expensive. Why? Because you're paying one person for their time to do all of the parts of the brand shoot. You're paying one person to do that, which means they need to either raise their prices in order to have the amount of capacity and reach the goals that they want to get to in their own business, or they have to overwork themselves. And those two options don't really work for you as a business owner who needs to be creating these visual assets on a consistent basis. Like, it causes you to have to shell out so much cash every single time you want to do a brand shoot. And so that's what caused this almost like traditional model where people would wait like over 5 years. I've talked to people even right now this year that are like, I haven't done a brand shoot in like 6 years. I'm operating on visuals that I have consistently used to market every single thing in my business. And let me tell you why that is an issue. Is because when you are marketing something, the visual is always the first thing people see, even before the message, right? Because like just scroll on Instagram. It's like, what are you seeing first? And what's the biggest thing that you're seeing? You're seeing a visual, whether it's a graphic, whether it's a photo, whether it's a video, you're seeing a visual. So that visual has to be able to pattern interrupt the person that is scrolling on the phone, on the desktop, even driving down I-95 in Miami. It's gotta be it's the first thing people see, and it's gotta be a pattern interruption. It's gotta make them look twice. Okay, and so when you reuse the same visual, you're not creating the pattern interrupt. You're actually creating a glazing over, because someone's like, oh, I've seen that before. I've already seen that. I've already seen that. And the same can be done with if we actually kind of layer this, like a deeper level to this, is if you keep doing the same type of brand shoot every single time. Like, if you keep doing the brand shoot that you see everyone else doing, or that you have just continued to do in your own business, you then get the glazing over of the audience, and the audience gets very bored because it's the same concept that they've seen before. And so I think that, people do that because they're trying to stay in the comfort zone. They're trying to stay relatable to the people that they're marketing. But no big brand has ever said to themselves, let me look like everyone else. Let me do what everyone else is doing because they are successful. No, the biggest brands in the WorkPlay method in the world, they say, let me create something that no one has ever seen before. Okay, so there's two parts of this. There's staying in your comfort zone, and then also just the industry itself being so absurdly overpriced and expensive. And again, I don't blame any photographers that are pricing their services super high, because I get it. Like, you've got to grow in your business. I just think that there is a better solution that is needed. Okay, so I'm going to guess right now you're probably sitting there like, oh my God, I have just done the whole laptop photo in a coffee shop, brand shoot over and over again. I need to switch it up, clearly. Okay. Here's what happens though when you bring in a creative team for your marketing team. Whether it's you or whether it's a whole team of people that are working for you, these feelings of, oh no, someone else is coming in to do my job. Where is my value now in this process? That is a narrative and a mindset issue that I see happen a lot. So something that I've seen happen over and over again is like the marketing team gets scared that someone else is coming in because they don't want to be replaced. And I just want to make it so clear, and hopefully by this, title of this episode even, like, there is no replacing the marketing team with the creative team. The two are in tandem working together. One does not exist without the other. The marketing team needs the creative team, and the creative team needs the marketing team. So here's what the creative team comes and does. They move off of the marketing team's vision. So the marketing team comes to the table with, here's what we're focused on. Here's what's creating leads and sales in the business. That is really honestly the only thing that the marketing team needs in order for the creative team to do their job, right? Because if the marketing team knows what's creating leads and sales, then the creative team can come in and say, okay, perfect. So this offer is what we are going to be focused on Q2. Now let me create visual bridges to that offer. And this is where I get so excited because the visual doesn't have to be, and it shouldn't be, the literal version of the offer that you're marketing. And a lot of times marketing teams, especially nowadays with the online industry, and it drives me up a wall, nowadays people are like, okay, well, if I don't pose in front of my laptop, or if I'm not in my desk, or doing a photo shoot in my office, then people aren't going to get what I do. They're going to be confused. When in reality, the visual's job is to capture attention. The messaging, so the written word that goes with the visual. So if we were scrolling on Instagram, for example, and you saw this very dynamic visual, and then you were curious, so you looked at it a little bit longer, and then you saw the caption, you started reading. The message in the caption is what can be the literal version of your offer. The visual, though, that needs to evoke an emotion. And ideally, it's an emotion that is centered around the end result that offer that you're selling is trying to create for the ideal client. That is what gets people's attention. Now, the marketing team doesn't necessarily have the skill set of the creative team, and also vice versa. And to be honest, you don't want them to have the same skill set. The marketing team should be so data driven, and the creative team, I don't know if you've ever worked with a data driven creative, but it's like oil and water. They're two different parts of the brain. It's the logical brain versus the creative brain. You need both, but I would much rather, as a business owner, hire someone who is so incredibly creative and then hire someone who is so incredibly data driven. And the two working off of each other is marketing campaign magic. So when you bring on a creative team, it's really important to talk to your marketing team to say, look, this creative team is not taking your job. This creative team is amplifying and enhancing everything that you have worked hard to do. And if you are the marketing team and you are thinking in your head oh, thank God, my creative team can just handle it all, you are in for a really big wake-up call, because that is not how you should be thinking about this at all. That is not a dynamic partnership. And what's going to happen if you think like that is you're going to put too much expectation on the creative team to be out of scope, out of their element, and not producing the creatives that would amplify the marketing. So it's really important to understand the rules here. And just giving the space for your marketing team to say what they need to say to the creative team can ease a lot of tension that could be there if you don't do that. And that creates a lot of synergy between the two teams that should be working together anyway. So here's my advice. As you're blending your marketing team with the WorkPlay creative team, have open conversation. Invite the marketing team, whether it's I mean, if it's you, then you should be on the call. But if you have other team members, invite them onto your creative direction calls with the WorkPlay team, because your marketing team is going to be thinking about logistical things that are going to be needed in the conversation as we're dreaming up these big visual campaigns. And so my last thought on all of this before I leave you guys is, how do you stay in a visionary position when it comes to all of your marketing and creative teams? And I would say the number one thing is space. Prioritize space to have creative ideas come through on the marketing front and the creative front. Give yourself space in your business to think about what you are going to focus on next. Sometimes when we're go every single quarter, you forget to take space. And the reason why I just think the WorkPlay method is the biggest accountability system out there is because when you have a shoot coming up or a creative direction call on the schedule, and you have no idea what is happening because you haven't sat down for a second to think about what you're going to do in the future quarter of your business, it causes you to have to do that. It causes you and forces you to have to take some space, whether it's just like 30 minutes in the morning or whether it's like while you're out doing errands. It causes you to think about your business in just a different way. Really, the sweet spot here is how visionary can you get in your business? How big can the idea get? Yes, you'll have the WorkPlay team and your creative director on the WorkPlay team to help amplify it, but how much can you expand your own mind to think bigger about the campaigns that you're doing in 2025 and beyond? That is all I have for you today. I am so excited about this. I am so jacked up about creating campaigns in 2025 that are just going to amplify everything that you're doing. I'm excited for the WorkPlay team to be spearheading this almost like marketing revolution of boring marketing, of like, can we ditch that? It's 2025, right? Can we ditch the comfort zone? It's 2025. And so if you want to learn more about the WorkPlay Branding team, our process, DM us at WorkPlay Branding brand. So A, I can give you a really cool, amazing fast action bonus, but B, so I can hear about all of the marketing strategies that you have going on coming into the new year. I want to know about your marketing team. I want to know if it's just you or if you have a big team. And I want to know how we can integrate the two together. So I'm going to be in the DMs. I hope to see you there, and I'll see you on next week's episode.